120 seconds. 110 seconds. 100 seconds. 90 seconds. 80 seconds. 70 seconds. 60 seconds. 50 seconds. 40 seconds. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
'My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
My friends, once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. It's Morning Talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk. This Morning Talk champion in the house, none other than Cleo Duke-Wright. Good morning, Miss Cleo. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good this morning.
Doing all right. How was your week?
My week was heavy, but good. It was a good week. Went by very fast.
Do anything special?
Well, I went to a funeral.
Oh.
I went to Joan Gibson's funeral. Very large funeral. Very
I heard it
political
was
funeral. Yes.
very large. She had lots of friends, lots of associates.
Yes, she did lots of good work. The best part of the funeral, I think, the best part of the funeral, were when the young people got up and talked about what part of their lives she was in, and how she taught them different things, and what she'd put up with and what she would not put up with, which is the Joan that I know. We grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was in Hartford, she was in Rockville, but my grandmother lived in Rockville, so we grew up together. But the thing about the funeral, my sister called me up, and before I got to the funeral, I picked her up to go. She said, "All right, Cleo, you know this is going to be a very political funeral." And she said, "You know it's going to be NAACP," and it certainly was that. It was certainly that. I was a little disappointed. I don't know. I like family funerals. I mean,
yeah.
Family was there, and I loved it, and I loved that part of the funeral where the family partook in it, and it was all about Joan. We called it Yinkin coming up. The other part of it was a little much. We saw mayoral candidates there, senators there. She got a lot of plaques. Her family got a lot of plaques and awards. The thing is that they read them all, and we got there about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it wasn't over till 2. So it was a long funeral with a lot of senior people there who that was tough for them, you know, because they're on eating schedules and this kind of schedule and that kind of schedule. So it was long.
I can see now why a lot of times they have a private funeral and then they'll have a memorial.
Yeah.
For individuals who want to pay homage.
You know, it should have been two different occasions. I think it really, that would have been nice. I didn't think of that, but yeah, that would have been nice. 2 different occasions for it. Her cousin, and then it's 1 o'clock, almost 1 o'clock, and I'm saying it's almost time for the eulogy. I'm saying, and everything that could have possibly been said about Joan was already said. There was absolutely nothing he could add. So I'm saying to myself, and I'm praying, Lord, please don't let this man preach. Please let him see that it has been done.
Right.
Her honor has been honored. She has been more than honored, you know. So I'm closing my eyes, and I'm sure I was not the only one closing their eyes at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, being there since 10:30 in the morning. And the minister started to preach. And my sister can't be in like crowds. She's got very claustrophobic, so she sits in a hall. I sit with her, you know. So we see everybody. We see everything, and you could see the people coming out of there, especially the older people, you know, coming out of there. And Mrs. Giles sat there in the front row to the edge. She's such a beautiful person. She is such a beautiful. She looks very good. I thought she looked so good. I was sitting down there in the front, and someone said, "Is Mrs. Giles all right? I'm gonna go see if she wants." She said, so they said, "Cleo, go down and see if Mrs. Giles is all right. Maybe if she wants to go home." I said, "I'm not gonna walk out. I'm not walking to the front of this church," you know. But she did. She walked to the front of the church. Mrs. Giles, she stayed to the end, and how old is she? 92, 90 something, 80, something like that. And she was looking beautiful. And so she stayed, and then of course, the people with the food were pacing back and forth. The people that with the they were going to the cemetery, those people were kind of pacing back and forth as the minister started to preach.
Mm-hmm.
So he preached, then her Joan's cousin Tony was pacing back and forth. What does this got to do with my cousin? What is he doing? Blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna go do something. So I don't know, but we are so accommodating. We, if the minister says say amen, we say amen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if the minister says that, we'll get up there and clap and egg him on, and and
call and response.
Response, because that's who we're gonna respond to the minister.
Say amen now.
If we think and talking, so he keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
Egging
him on.
Egging him on. So anyway, I was so very glad I went for the family, and that's where I met a Ronan for the first time. I didn't know what he looked like, but he was, very pleasant. My sister's talking so loud in the hall, he heard her and turned around. She said, I don't know a Ronan, blah, blah, blah. I said, I just see, because someone told me who he was. They said, I just passed you, quiet, and so, he turns around and comes back, and he talks to us for a while, and a president. And so when we get outside, we're getting ready to go. She says, "Yeah, I met a Ronan. Yeah, he's a pretty nice guy." He passes us again. He turns around. He comes and talks to us for a while. So she was impressed with him. Talked for a while, and then he goes on, and we just met so many people that we had not seen for a long time. Kenny Green was there, and Eric was there, and the Democratic women were there. And this, I think I have it in my bag. You wanna?
I can see it.
It's such a beautiful, beautiful picture of her. At one time she was a registrar of voters.
Yes.
And
she worked for the Secretary of State.
And worked for the Secretary of the State, and I'm gonna miss her. We came into each other's lives as we grew up, and we raised our children. At times when I needed her, she just always seemed to be there. And when she needed me, I was just always seemed to be there. So, but those were private times without the NAACP or family, or you know what I mean. Just private times, and wonderful pictures in there of her and her family and her friends. And it was just great. Oh, I skipped a page. The program, the program was like here, and goes over to here. And her obituary was very long. Of course, this is her obituary. See how long that is? 2 pages. So we had this. We said goodbye to Joan till we meet again.
Amen.
So that was a long day, but one that just needed to be there, So
4 hours. She had a lot of people who loved her dearly, people who worked with her, colleagues, and her legacy. I only interfaced with her on very few occasions, and they did a series of training seminars
Yes,
for
she
the
did
young
training
people
right.
at the Harvard Public Library. And it seems to me it was like 10 weeks, 10 Saturdays. And I taped them. And she was teaching them leadership, civics, political leadership, and it was a really good series that she did. Yeah.
Her uncle Tom Wright I think he was president of the NAACP at one time.
Mm-hmm.
He was like NAACP. He really loved the NAACP. He passed. This is a family that has more twins in them than I had ever seen in my life. I haven't seen that family with that many twins in them since.
Identical twins or?
She's a twin.
Oh, wow.
She's a twin. There were her mother had twins. Her mother's sister, I think she had 2 pairs of twins. I don't know what one died or not. But Tom Wright was a twin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there were just and then there was another. Her cousin had twins. So there's lots of twins.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of twins in that family.
Twins are so unique.
And none of her children had twins. But her generation and her mother's generation, they had twins.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to have stopped in that next generation, not so much. And they said, she told me before she passed, her sister was known as the oldest one.
Mm-hmm.
She says, guess what, Cleo? She said, she's not the oldest, I'm the oldest.
She's the second born.
Yeah.
Her sister was born, what, 5 minutes before her?
Yeah. So I guess that was a big deal. She said, no, I'm the oldest. She said to me, I said, you're the oldest? Yodi's not we called them Yinkin and Yodi.
Yinkin and Yodi.
She was Yodi and Yinkin. And she said, no, she found out that she was the oldest. I don't know how she found that out. She told me, but I did not know. But during the funeral,
mm-hmm.
they said that Yinkin was the Jane was the oldest. And I said, oh, but Yodi told me she was the oldest. I'm sitting back there, but I don't know what difference does it make anyway.
Right.
A couple of minutes apart. But
it only makes a difference to the twins.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, you always hear that among kids when they're little. I was born first, and all. I'm older than you. And all this other stuff. But it continues way into people's senior age.
Yes.
And you'll hear siblings have that conversation, and they're grown adults with their own grandkids, and they still have that same.
I'm the oldest. Should have 4 minutes,
right.
3 minutes, 5 minutes, or something like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, she's gonna be a tremendous loss to family and friends, and.
But she has really wonderful children too,
mm-hmm.
beautiful children.
Mm-hmm.
So she raised them well.
Amen. Well, that's a sad occasion, as well as a happy transition.
Yes.
And so, funerals affect people differently, but a life well spent, service to community, service to the Lord, and walk by faith, not by sight. And the legacy that you leave behind is left in the testimony of friends and family that speak your name.
She was a true politician too. I mean, she was like blackballed for years. For years, she couldn't get a job. For
mm-hmm.
years, she just
comes with territory.
Kept going. She just kept on going, and
mm-hmm.
yeah, she had some. Those years were pretty tough, but she made it through there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about these kinds of things. You know, as long as the people who gave her a hard time and made it tough for her don't come and cheese at the transition ceremony.
If you stick your ground and you say, this is what I'm doing and I'm not going any further. I don't care what, well, she was that kind of a person.
Principle.
She had principle.
And so which is missing.
Right.
Today. A lot of people don't have principle at all.
She had principle. She wasn't going to go out and do something horrible, to people and things like that. And because of that, she got punished by the system.
Mm-hmm.
She got punished by the system for a while, but she survived and came through, and still was the queen of the day.
Amen.
And at the end of the day, she still was the queen of the day.
Amen.
They did not conquer her.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, hopefully that serves as a testament and a testimony for those who look to her as an example, that they would be steadfast, grounded in principle and truth,
yes,
and not yield or sell out for temporary personal gain.
We need more. We need more people.
Yeah.
Like that. I think there might be a lot of people like that, but we just bump into.
Well, I actually believe there are more people like that than not. The problem is that they see the hardship that was leveled on other folks, and they don't want to go through that. It's a tough road, and it's a heavy load to bear.
Yes.
Simply to serve. It's like you're punished for real service. If you go along to get along, you get rewarded. But real service.
Isn't that what the word says?
Amen.
That's just what the word says. Hey, you're not gonna have you're not gonna have an easy time.
Right. Don't get weary in well doing. Grow not weary in well doing. So you do well, and someone has to set the standard.
Yes.
So that there's something to which you can compare to. So she stands as that standard and that bedrock. People can look to her and say, that I want to be like that. I want to be like that. Or if you're way over here, you're like, I got to get it together and get back where I need to be, because she was. That's why I want to get back like. Mm-hmm. And so without that standard,
we're lost.
We're lost. And
we actually think those.
I fear we're getting real close to the time of no standards.
Oh, aren't we there?
Or yeah. We're at that time. Not close to it.
My son was showing me TV is I just got to close my eyes. And my son showed me something really, I had to smile because there's some really enjoyable movies coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Not heavy minded, like Indiana Jones is coming back this summer. I'm gonna be there. And he showed and the father-in-law that it's with Stiller.
Ben?
Yeah.
Ben Stiller?
Who's the son-in-law. Well, I don't know what he is, but it's a comedy with Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I said I got it, and I was looking at the clips of it, and I was laughing. I said, "Thank goodness something's coming out. I can sit down and laugh and enjoy family,
Mm-hmm.
And I could enjoy." And my son said, "Indiana Jones is coming back." I said, "What Indiana Jones?" And I said, "He can't come back. He's the same age as me. He can't come back. He's too old. He died in the last episode." They said, "Well, they brought him back to life."
Well, he's now, his character is now, Indiana Jones, as a fictional character, would be as old as his father was in the first Indiana Jones movie. Because in the first movie, doesn't he run into his dad and all this other stuff?
Oh, that's not
remember?
the first one, but that's
Was it
one
like
of
the
the
second
best
or the
one.
third one?
That was
Yeah.
with Sean Connery, who
Right.
I love.
Yeah.
Sean Connery was his father. Oh, that was a wonderful.
Right. So now he's
What?
he's his dad's age in the movie. Yeah, Indy. His dad used yeah. That was I think that was one of the better ones.
Indy,
too,
you know,
Yeah.
they call him Indy. He said, his name's not Indy, that's the dog.
I hate that name or something like this. I recall.
That's a dog name, not that. You know that. So I really, that's my that's my favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I like them all. I like all of them. You know, they were unbelievable, believable stories.
Yeah, there's a good fantasy stories and slash sci-fi fantasy feel good, and it doesn't stretch your imagination in terms of the realms of possibilities. Some of the movies out today they're like cartoons with people in them. I mean, they're just ridiculous in terms of the pushes the limits of the imagination.
I really don't understand why people like this. You probably love it, but these cars that all of a sudden stand up and walk around.
Oh, the Transformers.
I'm saying,
I was never a Transformer fan, but
that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense, and I just think it's ridiculous. So I can't look at it. Because I'm saying, maybe something else, but a car standing up, Well,
there was the Transformers cartoon as a kid's show evolved, of course, into the movie. So if you grew up as a kid into that, then you kind of stay with. It's like a wave of stuff that you can resonate with. So, Bugs Bunny age, and then you get the next set of cartoons, and
I like My Mother the Car. That was believable.
My Mother the Car that's an older movie.
That's an older one. My Mother the Cow, she was a cow, but she could talk. So she could have had the spirit in her, And that other one,
like Herbie the Love Bug. I mean, you're going.
I like those bitches. I really enjoyed those. But when they stand up and do all these, no.
Yeah.
I like.
Well, you remember Knight Rider?
Yes.
Kit.
Yep. Kit. That's what I was trying to think of just now. Yep.
Yeah, my favorite Martian.
Yeah.
The horse. What was Mr. Ed?
Oh,
a horse.
You want me to say it's a course. But whoever heard of a talking horse? Unless, of course, the talking horse was the famous Mr. Ed. Go right to the source and you'll. Yes.
Yeah. So
these and Francis the talking mule, because now that's way back.
Yeah, you're going. Yeah.
I love those. Donald O'Connor, Francis the talking mule.
And then Christine. Was Christine the possessed car?
Christine, was she the Jetsons maid?
No. Like in your car genres. I think one of them was there was a car that was possessed by. I think
with the teenager.
Was Christine?
Yes, and he owned it, but she was really mean.
Yeah. So you have all these iterations of things.
She hurt people.
Yes, we hit them.
Yeah. And he became like hypnotized to her. She possessed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, these movies and thing. The Blob.
Cause we really
you see the Blob.
No.
Oh, the Blob was like silly putty, and it just grew, and I remember it absorbing a fly at first. And I was a kid when that came. I found it to be quite terrifying.
I wouldn't have. I don't.
Yeah.
What was terrifying? And I will not watch that picture to this day. Is that rat?
Oh, Ben.
Oh,
Willard. That was
to me.
That was terrible. Yeah, that was
scary.
Willard. I think Willard was first, and then Ben was second. Or
They
Ben.
both were terrifying.
Yeah. Michael Jackson sang Ben, friend like Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, the love song about the rat. Yeah.
That was oof. But it was, I mean, they did a wonderful job in the movie because it was very convincing.
Yeah, he commanded the rats.
Yes.
Willard was kind of like a loner, you know what they would consider today as the terms change, but the last one I'm most familiar with was the offie. He was kind of like a kind of odd kind of a fella, and they picked on him.
Yes.
And then he got his revenge with the rats because he made a friend with the rat, and then the rats, he commanded like the rats, as I recall.
That's right. Willard was a kid.
He was a teenager. Kind of an awkward teenager,
So that should teach us.
Yeah.
But we've learned since that.
Well, now that nerds run the world, folk don't tease them anymore. They built computer companies and tech.
They scare me too. Because there's you just learn more. There's more technology, but there's no stop signs. There's no
stop signs, no red lights,
no
and
nothing.
no what do you call those on the road? The guardrails. No guardrails.
Guardrails. There's nothing. They just keep going and going and going and going. And to me, anything like that is terrifying.
Well, the possibilities are always terrifying when what's good could be used for bad.
And that's what I say about this, the internet, these phones. I left my phone somewhere yesterday when I took my young man to his physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know it until about 7 o'clock that I had left it there. And then, I rushed back to see if I could get my phone. And then it was locked. And so I couldn't call anybody. And my employer, in the meantime, had picked it up for me. But I said, I hate this damn phone. Why am I I'm going down Farmington Avenue. And I'm saying, I hate this damn phone. Why can't the phone stay at home, and when I get home, get my messages? Why do I have to carry this damn phone around with me all the time?
There's nothing that stops you from having a phone on the wall.
No, there's nothing that stops you. But, people call you 24/7.
You don't have to answer it 24/7.
Oh, gosh.
The phone is like, the phone is like a doorbell. Just because someone rings the doorbell doesn't command you to open it. The same thing with the phone. Although people are highly offended. I know you saw me call you. I saw you. I didn't feel like talking to you. Well, I don't say that, though.
Yeah,
but you could have that
attitude,
yeah. Right? You'll get back to you. Before you said you weren't home, so they left a message. If you had one of those newfangled answering machines,
right?
You call people and an answering machine would pick up. Would be, oh, they have an answering machine. Please leave a message. Beep. And then you remember you could I remember when they first came out and people had a little device and you press a button and it would give a tone and you could hear the tape rewind.
Yeah.
And then it would play back the message. Or you hit a certain tone button on your if you had
I don't mind going back to that time. Even that was irritating at times, but I wouldn't mind going back to that time. But if the person not call them again some other time.
Yeah, if they're not, you call.
Right. So, but you can use your phone. You're right. You can use your phone that way, and I would much appreciate that. I just left my phone home, but then they said, what if something happens to you on the road and you need to call somebody? What if you need to call 911? Then I said, yeah, what if I need to call? So I probably...
Right. For thousands of years, human beings were able to get by without calling 911. Now, see, everything is everything is between confrontation and fear. Everything is fear-based. People are afraid of everything, you know. Well, what if the car breaks down? Well, you get it fixed. Well, what if you're walking in the desert and you fall into a hole, and if you had your phone, you could call for help.
If you're walking in the desert and you fall in the hole, no one's gonna be able to hear you anyway.
No signal.
That's right. There's no signal out there in the desert.
Yeah, the what if crowd. I'm always humored by conversations of the what if this happens. It's always the what if the most horrible thing happens. It's never what if the right thing happens. It's like the chances of the right thing happening are more likely than the wrong thing. But there's always that chance. If that happens, then we deal with it then. But you don't have to prepare for that.
We're slaves to our phones.
We are slaves.
And we're slaves to the. I don't do internet very much.
Mm-hmm.
So, I missed my cousin's wedding, and I missed one of my cousins gave her husband a birthday party, and she invited the whole family, but she invited us through Facebook. Then my sister told me as we're going to the funeral, "Oh, Cleo, I'm sorry. I have an invitation for you." I said, "Oh, really? I thought I wasn't invited to that party." "Oh, yes, you were, but I forgot to give you the invitation." So I didn't get, me and my son and my husband didn't get to go to that party. But usually it is the younger members of the family do Facebook invitations.
Oh, Facebook invites, or an evite.
I don't.
You like old school? Something comes in the mail, hard copy. Put your hands on it. Open the envelope. Take out the invitation. It does feel much special to get a handwritten letter or an invitation in the real, as opposed to something digital.
Find out my husband diagnosis because it's in this file, and I know I set it up, but I don't remember what password is and anything. And besides, the doctor's gonna put the report in this file. I don't want a report in a file. I want you to call me up and tell me what it is. So time passed. He had the first test weeks ago. No call, no anything. I'm trying to call, but you get all these voices. You get all this. So finally, and you get someone finally to answer. Well, now she says, okay, the doctor's not going to call me, but the nurse will call me and tell me read the chart or whatever she's going to do. She's going to tell me what's going on. So they call me at 4 something. I'm waiting all day, 4 something. I'm thinking that the clinic usually closes at 4 or 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I'm not going to get a call today. And I was at work. I got a call, which I missed. So I call back. Mm-hmm. They leave a number. I call back. Who do I get? The same rigmarole that I had in the morning. The same voicemail and recordings that I had in the morning. So how do I get back to the person? And so I'm saying, why don't they just leave me their number so I can just call back and ask them? The number is to the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to start all over with pushing the buttons and saying, hey, I didn't get that call. Could you have them call me back? Or could I have a number to call them? Do they have to call me? So now he's had 2 tests. And I don't know how to navigate the
phone,
the medical records like that. But I'm saying, Cleo, you're just doing avoidance. You better learn how to do that.
Well,
even if I did, would I understand what they're saying to me?
It would be nice if there was, in an effort to maximize profit, because people are just so greedy. In an effort to maximize profit, the human element is being driven out. You know, would it kill them to have a human being answer the phone, talk to you, navigate, help you? You know, quality of service to me is far more important than saving a nickel on a gallon of gas. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's nothing is really there to enrich the lives and make better for human beings the living experience. It's all about how can we maximize profit. And unfortunately, oftentimes that profit comes at the expense of human beings.
Yeah.
And profit comes from people. So if we can't exploit them, we'll minimize them while maximizing the return on our dollar. And that seems to be like the status quo in the way.
And we're not complaining about it. I think it's horrible, but we're not complaining about it. We complain to each other,
right?
But we really don't complain about it.
Well, if people stopped supporting institutions, if they stopped supporting businesses and services that treat them that way, then they would be forced to change. You know.
Only if you think in your head that you're the boss. If you don't think you're the boss and you think you're the servant, and all those smart people are all around you and they know what to do and they know this and they know that and they're smarter than me, you're going to always follow them. Until you realize you're the boss.
Right.
You are the boss. But most people don't realize that. Most people that are around me don't realize that.
Well, you know, a lot of times people have been conditioned to be followers. And it kind of, in a grand way, circles back to the conversation we were having about Joan. She stood on principle.
Yes.
You see, so if you stand for something, there are automatically going to be people who are against you. And there are repercussions for standing on principle. But if people don't stand on principle, that means then you'll settle. A good friend of mine used to say, you know what? What did he say? Good enough. You know what good enough is?
No.
Not good enough.
Yes.
So how do you like it? It's okay. It's good. It's good. No. How do you like it? It's good, really. It's good enough. It's good. It's good. He says, you know what good enough is? I said, what's that? He says, not good enough. Good enough is not good enough. So why are you settling for it? Because ultimately, you're not going to be happy and you're going to be disappointed.
Right.
So make it what you want it to be. People will pay for good enough only to then down the road buy what they actually want. So you wasted money on the thing that was good enough. Now that perfection has come, or what you actually wanted is here. Now you get that.
Yeah.
So we fall into this trap of, well, that's good enough. Oh, well, I'll settle. Well, I don't want to rock the boat. Well, I don't want to say anything. And then
it's like saying a woman gets in there, she gets all dressed up, she thinks she looks good, and she goes out and asks her husband or her family how she looks, and they say, "Oh, you look okay." Don't ever say that. You look okay. It's all right. It's all right. I don't want it to be all right. Do I look good? It's all right. You know, that's never good enough. That's never good enough. You look all right. It's never good enough when you tried your best to look good. That
now there you go. There's some wisdom in that for you men out there. I hope you're listening. Never tell your wife that you look fine. That looks okay, honey. You know that could be
she's gonna go back into the bathroom or back into the bedroom and try to do it again. So you might as well say she looks good, or you gonna be sitting there a long time. while she tries to look good. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, my friends, we'll take a short break. We will be right back. It's, speaking of good enough, what would you do if you were mayor for a minute? Well, let's find out.
Hey, Hartford, Connecticut, I'm talking to you.
I'm Corrine Blake, resident of Asylum Hill, and if I were the mayor of Hartford, I'd make sure that everyone in the education system knew about the community in which they work, the city in which they work. Because once you know about it, you begin to value the city and you begin to serve in that fashion. I'm really very passionate about education. I'm an early childhood educator, and so I wouldn't be doing any playing around with programming and getting help to the people who work in these areas. It has to be focused, well formatted, and supported. So that's like my biggest thing, because as my mother taught us many, many years ago in Jamaica, once you have education, that's one thing no man can take away from you. You may lose your money, you may lose your property, but once you are well educated, no one can take that from you. And if you have that, then we can build a viable city. Thank you.
I like that. Mm-hmm. We do mayor for a minute. And whenever we have the mobile campaign office.
So now, do you have a route, or somehow you're going through the city, each part of the city, you have a plan, a map?
Well, we actually did have a very comprehensive plan. It was overly comprehensive. And it was built on a false premise. So you have to understand when a plan you have isn't working, you got to call it as this is not working, and we have failed. So you change it. You don't double down and stick to it. So the plan was comprehensive. It was 6 days, and we had a whole route. So from 4 to 8 o'clock, the bus had a place it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And it was the place were all of the polling stations around the city, all of them. So we would be down at Liberty Christian Center for 45 minutes. 15 minutes, and we'd be at another place for 45 minutes over at the church on Farmington Avenue. But all of the polling places over on Sherman Street, 77 Sherman Street. And so and so on Monday we would be at places. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The only time we weren't going to be at some place was Sunday. So if people were late getting to the place, we'd be gone. If they got there early, we wouldn't be there. If the bus was running a little behind and they were there, we would think we weren't coming. And it also presupposed that people are just waiting for you to get there. They weren't. So you'd be there and no one would come. Because how many people actually go to a campaign office? They only go if they want to pick something up.
Yeah, but...
So what we did was we changed everything. You call us, we'll come. That's how we changed it. Like dial-a-ride. If you need something from the campaign office, the office will come to you.
Yeah, but when you were on the streets, when you were at these different locations, mm-hmm. were you also knocking on doors?
Oh, yes. That was the plan. So I would be in that same community for 45 minutes knocking on doors.
Oh, and that wasn't worth.
Knocking on doors is still happening, and that's still worth it. But the bus, we had to separate the bus from that, because the bus isn't following me around. The bus could, in fact, be 3 or 4 or 5 blocks away from where I'm knocking. It's the only time you see the bus is if you are there. So it's much more efficient for the bus if it's something that's going to be seen, then it becomes like a rolling billboard. And that means it needs to move around. So it moves around the community. All right. So the bus goes out at times when the bus or the campaign office manager / bus driver person, right hand man, Marcus, he goes out every day somewhere different and then takes signs to people who call and want a sign or want information. He'll go there. And then the bus goes out as a support vehicle whenever I go someplace. It's a meeting, what do you call them? Forums.
Mm-hmm.
And the bus is always at those events. Yeah.
You think as you get closer to the campaign that more people will search out the bus?
Well, you can't help but see the bus more and more because the bus is in and around the city. Last night they had a big event. Well, not an event. They had a public hearing, if you will, a seminar about the airport down at Metzner. The bus was down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But take a short break. We'll be right back. Talk a little bit more about the bus. Stick and stay. Oh, by the way, guess who's coming here next Friday?
Who?
Jay Hogarth.
Every bad political decision is made by a politician elected to office. So if you think your vote doesn't matter, just remember this. There are people sitting with politicians in a back room making deals about your future, making policies about your children, making decisions about your neighborhood. To them, you are just a vote. You are not their cause. You are just a vote. Elections have consequences, and if you don't vote, you are actually voting to keep these people in power to work against you. Now more than ever, you need to make your vote count. It's time to clear the air and vote for a mayor that is unbought, unbossed, trusted, and accountable to you, the constituent. My name is J. McCauley, and I am an independent thinker, and I approve this message. I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, September the 12th, 2023, in the Democratic Party primary election for mayor of the city of Hartford. For more information, visit McCauleyformayor.com. Have the courage to vote your conscience and vote for the name you trust and know. Vote J. Stan McCauley for mayor.
Hi.
My name's J. Stan McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends. In the background there, is Jay Hogarth. We're pretty sure we're going to be able to get him in here next Friday. And so we'll confirm that this week. Living legend, jazz great, Jay Hogarth. And we'll talk a little bit about this recording session, about him, his career, his albums, his professor, and music in general. Yeah. All right, so so the bus will be out. Well, it's always out. It's out all the time. But it can only be in one place at a time. But last night people came on the bus, they sat down at the desk, and we have conversations on the bus with constituents. I've gotten a lot of requests to use the bus because people think it's a bus.
To use the bus for what?
Pull your mic up.
To use the bus for what?
Taking people places.
Oh.
If you could just see fit to use, I could really need to use. We need a bus for. So there's no seats in the bus. Well, what do you mean? It's a bus. No. It's a mobile campaign headquarters. There's no seats in. It's not like a bus. It's an office. There's a desk in there. You go in there, it looks like an office. There's desks, there's chairs, computers. It's a support unit so that we can do, office stuff.
There are a lot of those, I think, in the 70s.
Yes, this is not like a new concept. You think I invented platinum or something?
They sold a lot of those in vans. Those offices in vans. It was really big in the 70s that people would go around those vans and they have little meetings in them and all of that. I used to want one so badly.
A little retro, old school.
Yeah.
The campaign mobile, the voter mobile. Get you an old wooden panel station wagon, some speakers on the top.
That actually, that's how I told you before. That's how I was gonna start the bookstore. In a bus.
You could still do that.
I wish I had done that. Not done all like that. I did have 2 buses when I had activity transport. I had 2 buses, but I did not. Pie in the sky.
Well,
the dream.
How old was Colonel Sanders?
Pardon?
How old was Colonel Sanders when he?
I don't know.
Started Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Huh?
Colonel Sanders when he started Kentucky Fried.
Oh, how old was he? Oh, he was old. He looked old anyway.
I'm going to ask the artificial intelligence. Alexa, how you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty chill because the puck has dropped on the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I'm taking my best slap shot at predicting the winner. Just ask, who's going to win the Stanley Cup?
Alexa, who's going to win the Stanley Cup?
The Hurricanes are the current favorites at plus 200 odds. Who do you think will win the Stanley Cup Finals? Stars, Golden Knights, Hurricanes, Panthers.
I don't know.
The Hurricanes are the current favorites at plus 200 odds. Who do you think will win the Stanley Cup Finals?
Oh, I see where this is going.
Stars, Golden Knights,
what?
Hurricanes, Panthers.
See, they're doing Cancel.
The Hurricanes
Alexa, stop.
Thanks for taking the poll.
This is some serious high-tech manipulation of the human being. You ask her a question. I didn't answer the question. I said, I don't know. So now she gives me the options all over again. And there's a lot to be collected from that. She gave me the odds, then she gave me a choice to pick the winner. I said, I don't know. As long as I say I don't know, she's going to keep asking the question. Finally, I will relent and take a chance. All of that is being collected in terms of how long it takes you
to give an answer.
To give an answer. Then the next time she asks a question, she'll ask it a little bit differently to see if you react or respond differently. This is some real high-tech stuff. People have no idea what's going on when they do this stuff. Yeah. So I'm now going to ask her the primary question I alerted her to. She's listening to everything I say anyways. It just doesn't respond until I mention her name. But she's listening to everything. Otherwise, you wouldn't hear me call her name.
Who is on the other end of this?
Artificial intelligence.
So they're collecting everything?
Everything we say in this room, she hears. And your phone hears everything you say, too. People think that there's, your phone's right there next to you. Can't go anywhere without it. Sit next to your bed. Take it in the bathroom. People take the phone with them everywhere. They cannot.
My phone doesn't charge in my bedroom. It's in the living room.
That's good.
It charges in the living room. Doesn't charge in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I'm just really tired of it. I have to think of something else to do. I'm really tired of this phone. I'm so tired of this phone.
You talk like the phone has enslaved you.
It has. And I don't like it.
It's like it's following you around. I said stay home. Like a pet. It's better. It's worse than a pet because you carry it. At least the pet walk on its own. It gets your full attention. You hold the thing all day long and it rings, you answer it, you look up information on it.
And you can't find it, you panic.
Right. Go back home if you leave. Oh my God, I left my phone home. If you go back home.
They can't find out all my information if I leave my phone home. I better go get my phone.
Yeah, you gotta have your phone double locked. Double locked and an encrypted access mechanism. Because if you lose your phone, all the stuff in it, I can't lose my phone. Can't lose my phone. Alexa, how old was Colonel Sanders when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Sanders was 40 when he opened his first roadside service station spot in North Carolina. He was 15 when he perfected his chicken recipe and the first Kentucky Fried Chicken and opened in 1952 when he was 62 years old. Did that answer your question?
Yes. He was like 62 when he really hit it off. But 15 years old, he
15.
And then now from 15 to 62, and he was 40 something when he opened up the first.
And then
it took a long time. People think that stuff's supposed to happen like overnight.
It takes but the chicken doesn't taste like it tasted when I first tasted it.
Well, he's gone, so people can monkey with the.
They do what they want to do. But the first time I ever tasted Kentucky Fried Chicken, I thought that was like the best chicken I had ever eaten. But it is not the same.
It doesn't taste the same. Somewhere along the way, they monkeyed with, and I can't get this. I just don't understand why people want to break, or actually, they wind up breaking it. Why they want to fix what's not broken. We have a perfect recipe, and the wizards are smart. Gentlemen, we're here today to talk about perfecting the recipe that everyone loves. If they love it now, imagine what they'll do when we finish and perfect it.
Well, they ruined Kentucky Fried Chicken, I'm telling you. It is not the same. I sat there and ate that chicken that my girlfriend
can't finish it.
Now it's no.
Mm-mm. Do you remember New Coke?
New Coke?
Uh-huh. Remember the New Coke? They had classic Coke, and then it came out when they first introduced New Coke, because Coke had like 95% share of the market, and they wanted the other 5%. So they changed the recipe. So to have a more sweeter taste like Pepsi. And of course, it was a monumental failure because people don't expect it to taste different. So they went back, and then that's when they called it classic Coke.
Because they were back to the original recipe.
But you get the geniuses are smart to think change is, just because if it's working, you don't need to change it.
They had 95% of the market, but they wanted the other 5%.
I believe that to be true, but I'm not sure. But this is why we have things like artificial intelligence. Alexa.
God.
How much market cancel? Now, you have to be careful because it's the question that demands the answer. You have to answer. You have to get the question right. So the question is, what was Coca-Cola's share of the market when they introduced New Coke? That's the question. Alexa, what was Coca-Cola's market share when they introduced New Coke?
From Snopes.com. New Coke sort of faded away. It quickly settled to a 3% market share in its first year and was redubbed Coke 2 in 1990, and now holds on to a 0.1% market share.
Wow. It only ever achieved a 3% market share and is down to below zero now. New Coke.
They're still selling it?
I think it's still out. But Alexa, what is the market share for Coca-Cola?
From Graduateway.com. Coca-Cola is a world market leader and currently boasts of over 48% market share.
Currently, 48% market share. World leader. That's phenomenal. Worldwide. I have to drill down and look into the more specifics. Alexa is not a good app for asking these kinds of questions. Google is better for that.
I never liked Coke. Not even as a kid did I like Coke.
Coke is good when it's ice cold.
I didn't like it. It was something. It was too it stung my throat. It had too much fizz or something. I didn't like it at all. I liked Pepsi better, but I don't like soda very much at all. Any kind of soda.
I like Mountain Dew. I have a Mountain Dew is part of my equipment. When I go on productions, always a Mountain Dew. Gotta have a Mountain Dew.
If I have to drink soda, I will drink Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
I like that better.
You're part of the original crowd.
What? What do you mean?
That's the commercial. That's the tagline. You be part of the original crowd. I'm a pepper. He's a pepper. She's a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Be a part of the original crowd. Because I'm a pepper. He's a pepper. She's a pepper. We're all peppers. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? Dr. Pepper. Drink Dr. Pepper. You don't remember that? Oh my goodness.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh yeah, Dr. Pepper commercial. That was hot.
No, I don't remember that. I'm just last.
What's Dr. Pepper? Cherry cola?
I don't know.
Kind of like a cherry cola flavor. Let me ask Google. At the time of the New Coke introduction, what was the market share of Coca-Cola's original market? Never mind. Stop. That's you got to ask the question right. You got to the question is half of the challenge. You got to get that question right. The question. You got to ask the right question. You got to ask the right question. And by the way, footnote, for the forums, the mayoral candidate forums, people aren't asking good questions.
They're not asking good questions?
Right. They're not asking like substantive questions. I was at a forum. It was a tiny forum, a mini forum. There were only 3 candidates at this forum. I won't mention who they were, but I was one of them. And in the mini forum, after about 45 minutes, I say about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, one guy stood up and he said, I'm paraphrasing. He was disgusted. So I'm disgusted. But all of you, disgusted. And he was mad because we weren't talking about things like the advent of Constitution Plaza. How Constitution Plaza got there. It was supposed to be the new downtown for Hartford.
Right, I remember
the
that.
Bishops with their vision for Hartford, and how the bishops made decisions, and the loss of the bishops, and that Hartford is on its deathbed, as stated by the CEO of Aetna. He went into it deep, and I respectfully said to him, "You didn't ask the question. Everyone's asking questions. We're answering the questions that are posed to us by the people in the room. You could have asked those questions and pinned people to the wall that didn't know the answers to them. But people can't get mad that we're not answering questions that they think are substantive, because we only can answer the questions that are posed to us.
This is not a speech.
Right. And I personally am offended anytime someone asks a question and candidates don't answer the question. That's why I always answer the question. People get mad at me for answering the questions. They say, well, the question doesn't need to be answered. You use that time to tell people what you want them to hear. I just it's a principle with me since I ever first started running. Answer the question. The question deserves an answer. Otherwise, the person would have asked it. But that's me.
What did the gentleman say when you told him that?
He understood my response, but he really pushed that, as far as he was concerned, none of us had the quality of the bishops.
Oh, that's what he was trying to.
That's it. Really, he was less answering. He was less asking a question and more making a statement through his comment. In essence, what he was saying is, look, in the days of old, we had visionary leadership that was well positioned to forge and make substantive change that impacted all of Hartford through economic development, vision, culture, the art, the whole 9 yards. And I don't see that here or anywhere else on the mayoral candidate stage. And he found that to be very disappointing. And it's a different time.
Did he find it disappointing when the last race, when Luke got in, was he your visionary?
He didn't mention that. He did not mention
when
that.
Was the last mayor or leaders that we had in Hartford that had the vision, the kind of vision that he talks about? When is it?
That's a long time ago. I would say if I hazard to guess, I would say the last executive leadership in the city of Hartford that came close to that whole orbit would have been Annetta Uccello.
Who?
Annetta Uccello. Mayor Uccello.
Right. Yeah.
Ann Uccello.
Uh-huh.
Uccello. But it's pronounced Annetta Uccello. So Ann Uccello.
Mm-hmm.
She came right before George. And had they not changed things, most likely Colin Bennett would have been mayor.
They didn't want him.
That's why they changed stuff. Then after George came Thurman. After Thurman came Kerry. After Kerry came Mike. Then Eddie. Then Pedro. Then Luke.
Okay. Why didn't they want what did you say his name was?
Colin Bennett.
Colin Bennett. I thought he was a very nice guy. He helped me in some ways in starting Center
He was
for Hope.
brown.
Yeah, but he was smart.
It didn't matter.
Excuse me. He was smarter. I'm just saying he had it more together if Thurman is listening, I'm sorry. I think you're smart too, but I think he seemed to have it more together than the other mayors of color. So why would they pick them and not him?
Well, he would have become mayor by the sheer numbers, as it was explained to me. He would have become mayor because he ran for council, and the numbers that he got
were
very, very clear. That if he were to run for mayor in the next term, he would win.
He would win. He would have won. Yeah.
And that's when they made the change.
So now, how did they stop that from happening?
They changed the way government runs in Hartford. Now, I would have to go back and really fact check that. But that's
you know what this says.
That's the story that I was told. So let me double check and see. I can find out the answer to this. We'll ask Google, because I know she doesn't have the answer to this. When did Hartford, Connecticut switch to council manager form of government? The city council of Hartford switched from mayor council government to a council manager government in 1947.
Oh gosh, the year I was born.
That's the year you were born.
All the way up to now, which is when they
Hartford. Now I'm imagining this is Hartford, Connecticut. Wikipedia, Hartford. Let's look and see. Well, the current mayor is Luke Bronin. Yeah.
Well, didn't it work better when we had that kind of a government that they had in 1947 than how it is working now?
Well, it depends on who you ask. 1947 was a Republican, Edward N. Allen. Cornelius A. Moylan was mayor in 1945 to 1946. He died in office. Wow, geez.
He died in what?
Died in office. And then Allen was elected by Common Council. Mortensen was a mayor. People don't know that Mortensen Plaza. They don't know that Mortensen was mayor, I'm sure. Spellacy, Thomas J., elected first term by the Common Council, resigned in his fourth term. Deputy mayor succeeded to office. Dominic J. DeLuco. That was 1960.
Oh, that's a popular name in Harvard when I was coming up, DeLuca.
Mm-hmm. It was 1960. I was born in 1960. Kinsella was mayor from 1957 to 1960.
I remember Kinsella.
Where's Annette Uccello? Here we are, 1960. I mean, she was the 60th mayor. She was elected in 1967. Resigned to take office as the United States Department of Transportation post. And she was succeeded by George Milner. I don't mean George Milner. George Athenson.
The kissing mayor.
Mm-hmm.
The hugging mayor.
And he served from 1981 to 1987, and then Thurman Milner, the city's first black mayor and first black elected mayor in New England. Kinsella, I know back to Ann Uccello. It'd be nice to do some deep dive on this to find out. She was a Republican. To figure out who the running mates and all that were in that election. We need to get a Hartford historian in here, because the story that was told to me, and see, I don't know. I can't. There have been times when there was a strong mayor, then there was times when there was a council mayor, And so I don't know what that time is. That's the story. I was told that story. And
when Constitution Plaza first was finished, it was like the most beautiful.
It was modern.
Oh, it was just beautiful. Wonderful. Everybody thought it was so wonderful. And we used to have concerts up there and then all of a sudden it died. I don't know why it died. All of a sudden it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
As far as any activity, the Civic Center came. But why would the Civic Center, totally different kinds of venues, right? Why would the Civic Center have even any competition with Constitution Plaza? Constitution Plaza was outside, and the things happened outside, and in the Civic Center things happened inside, and it was a lot of sports and a lot of so I just never understood why Constitution Plaza died. But it was beautiful.
Yeah. Eddie A. Perez, the 65th mayor of Hartford, served from December the 4th, 2001 to June 26th, 2010. 9 years. Resigned after being convicted on federal corruption charges. City's first Hispanic mayor, city council president, succeeded Perez. First openly gay mayor.
And that should have been our Joe, who should have been mayor. Wasn't she?
Well,
and they did something to prevent that.
Well, it could have been our Joe. The should have is always a challenge, because the reality is not that. So when people say should have, when people say should have, that's always it could be many things. It could be, is, and should be are always two different things. So let's do one more of these Mayor 4 minutes, and then we will we'll return. If you were mayor for a minute, what would you do? Or in this case, mayor for a day. Stick and stay. We'll be right back.
Hey, Hartford, Connecticut. I'm talking to you.
Hello. Good day. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Tracy Ann Johnson, and if I were mayor for the day, I would pay close attention to the importance and significance of education, wellness, mental health, advocacy, early childhood education, the significance and importance and value of love, ownership, pride in our community. If I were mayor for the day, I would definitely create partnerships between law enforcement, being that I have worked in criminal justice in a variety of capacities for over 16 years. I have experience working as a substance abuse counselor within the prison systems. I have since left that environment, and now I am extremely involved within the Hartford community as a parent leader, as a wellness advocate, as an education advocate. I know firsthand the impacts of childhood trauma, environmental traumas, urban trauma, lack of education within the community, and the significance of empowering our children to know and truly understand who they are and what they have the ability and potential to become. As I have learned as a resident of Hartford and a proud resident and alumni of Hartford Public Schools, education opens up the doors for opportunities, and the reality is that with education, all things are possible. The sky is literally the limit. If I were mayor for the day, I would also create partnerships between our clergy, our church community, and our residents. I would pay close attention to the need for those in law enforcement to do what is known as not only law enforcement, but understanding the community in which they live and or work in if they do not live here. It is also important for the community members to know their values, their worth, and the role that we play together, because there is a saying, we are better together. As a parent of a child that goes to school in Glastonbury through the Hartford Region Open Choice Program, I know firsthand the significance of preparing our children to walk in such communities and also walk within our Hartford community, and the parallel between understanding of all these worlds. So if I were mayor for the day, I would really truly do a assessment on the realities that our children are experiencing, our families are experiencing from the socioeconomic stance, from the health stance, because we have many environmental realities that are also realities within our city in which we must continue to have these necessary conversations around. So if I were mayor, I would promote the cohesiveness, the love, the unity, and the pride in our city. Thank you.
Time to make a difference. Get out and vote. You go and vote. We can change it, yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
So Marcus, I saw Marcus yesterday, the day before yesterday. You know, and
he's the official driver of the bus.
Huh?
He's the official driver of the bus.
Oh, does he drive the bus like during the day while you're doing?
Oh no. He drives the bus whenever the bus needs to be driven. Right. So, like if we had an occasion for the bus to be in use during the day, then he would of course drive the bus. Our schedules are such that we have control over our availability. We need a little lead time, but the schedule. My schedule is pretty much laid out like 2-3 days in advance. Well, actually, that's not true. It's laid out a week in advance, but I'm told what the schedule is as soon as I get off the air by my campaign manager. So so if there's an event where the bus is supposed to be, then the bus is scheduled as well. Like I have a meeting at 11 for today. It's a prep meeting. I won't say for what or with who, but it's a prep meeting. The bus won't be here for that, but the bus is going to be at an event that we're doing on Sunday.
When you become mayor, who will we see? I mean, I see you now, and I know you as Stan, the things that I have known you as. But who will I see?
You didn't want to pull that mic up or something.
Who will I see when you're mayor? Will there be a change? So I hear, you know,
like what version of me will you see? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
or you mean other people?
Basically, people know you on television. You talk. You're the president of the African American Alliance. We know your voice. You talk. You give. But when you're mayor, it's going to be a difference because you talk and there's direct action. So and there's going to be, you know, direct things, and I've never seen that.
That's a good question. I know who people will see, but very few people have seen that side. Most people don't know me in that fashion. So you'd have to ask people who've actually worked with or for me. And there are not a long list of those people. Marcus will tell you. You ask anybody that's worked with me in productions or at the TV station or things like that. Not here so much, but
see, no one has seen that, and that's what I'm thinking, that when people say, I don't know, he can't do this or he can't do that, I can't see him this way or I can't see him that way, and then you have others who speak very strongly, but you're not that kind of person. You know, I could see certain people being forceful and mean, you know, and driving that way. And all right, I'll give you an example.
I know what you mean. Go on.
Take Eddie, for instance. Eddie didn't have that problem because people already knew him from the street and knew him to react in that kind of way, and knew him maybe as a leader in other venues, in other places. They saw that. How are they gonna see that in you when you're running?
Well,
how can they see that? Because the image that you give to many are, you know, he's the TV guy, he's the talker, he's blah 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 blah, but I never hear anything about being forceful, being actually upfront and active, fighting for something, just and going at someone and not and staying there holding that until you get what you want, or you just totally lose or something. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Well, those are things that people don't. I'm more diplomatic, but I have no problem laying down the law, if you will. I'm decisive, so I don't. You don't have to be mean or loud or any of those things. You need to be decisive. At the end of the day, you need to be decisive.
But I'm a voter.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know you.
Well, I would contend that
but I know that he'll go out and fight, but I don't know. Even though you could be better at it than him, how am I going to know it when I vote for you?
You won't know. And I would contend that they don't know that of anyone else either. So they don't know. They didn't know Luke as that person. They don't necessarily know. They may know Eric, and they may know John in those capacities because they've been serving since the beginning of time. So they have a framework to look back on. But most people, they may not know that. Now, because so many people know who I am and have seen me for so long, they have projected onto me. Well, I shouldn't say that. They take away that I'm soft-spoken, fair, forgiving, kind. We'll take turn the other cheek, all those things, because that's how they see me. They see me as, Pastor Stan, this, that, and the third. They would contend that their ministers are nice, but they don't see the business side of a church, of a ministry. They don't see the politics of church ministry. They don't, they don't see the authoritarian, hold the line, dictatorial side of that leadership, because it's not a nice thing to see, and there's no need to see it, because that kind of people with that kind of authority are very rarely outright challenged, but when they are, they hold the line and they move things forward. So it's not something, it's a fair and legitimate thing for people to say, but there's no way for them to ever know unless they're in the room where it happens. And they're not going to they probably will never be in that room where it happens. I was recently in a meeting with Matt Ritter, with the Speaker of the House. I shouldn't call him Matt Ritter, with Speaker Ritter, on an issue. I won't go into the details of it, but I will say what he said. There was an incident. It wasn't an incident. There was a matter that came up before the meeting. And I don't know him as being someone that's firm. I'm sure he is. He's the Speaker of the House. But there was no doubt as to whether or not he could be firm, because someone had said something and he said straight out, "This is my office. Those are my rules. It's up to you whether we go forward." He didn't yell, didn't scream, just said it straight out. All right, let's sit down and talk. So, I mean, decisiveness and your willingness to stick to what you say is the determining factor. You don't have to be mean or, have a street reputation of cussing somebody out because they, I won't mention any names. I think you know what I'm talking about. Yes, cussing someone out, you cuss them out your office, or have a temper tantrum, or people all over City Hall hearing you yell. I mean, that's not necessary. And one of my very good friends, one of my best friends, is Marcus Jarvis, and he and I respectfully disagree on a few things, but he's one of my best friends. And you can ask Marcus; he'll tell you straight out. I have fired Marcus 3 times, and one time he was so angry with me he didn't talk to me for 4 years. I've known Marcus for 40 years. For 4 years. So once I make up my mind on a thing, I'm good. We were in the middle of a production once, and I got there like 5 minutes late. He tried to read me the riot act for being late. I said, "Come here." So we got in the car. I said, "I don't care who's late. No one in this production company can be late except me. It's my production company. If I roll up here 2 hours late, it's no one's problem. It's my problem. Don't ever in your lifetime think about correcting me in front of the stage company or your services here don't need to be." My wife, I remember her before we were married, and she hung the phone up on me. She was an employee at that time. It took everything I had not to be apoplectic in the car driving back to the office. And I said to her, "The next time you hang up on me, you can find another job." That's how most people know me as a boss. I'm a very, very fair boss, but I have no problem saying, "Come walk with me. Get your stuff."
All right, how are you going to give me a sense of that?
You won't never get that sense of me unless I'm telling this story or you're experiencing it. These are not things that there's no reason for people to know you as that.
But
and then the people that are truly, truly concerned, the best way for them to know is just call me and have a conversation. I'm very accessible. My number's plastered all over everything. So I don't mind having that conversation. But the only way to know that is to talk to people who have worked for me or worked with me.
That's what I wanted to know.
Even if they don't like me, enemies, I could tell you people who you could talk to would tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the question that comes to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm bringing it to you,
There's
for some reason
there are plenty of people at the Alliance that could tell you.
Yes, well, that's good because somehow. Well, I guess because I'm part of the African American Alliance and I'm on the show every Friday, they really connect us. Mm-hmm. I'm a stand person. They connect us, so they say things to me to. I'm sure they say things to me so it'll get back to you.
Well, that's a good way to get things back to me because you are not a surrogate. However, there are people who folks see as intermediaries, folk you can talk to, and believe it or not, as long as I can remember, most people don't talk to me directly. It's always a go-between. And that is to my detriment. And I've been told that. I've been told that by one of my harshest critics, one of my biggest supporters and harshest critics, whose name I won't mention, criticizes me very, very badly, and that people think I'm unapproachable. And that's a sign of that. If people won't come to me but will talk to other people to get to me, that means they don't feel comfortable approaching you. And so I would use that as a means by which people are either out of respect, I don't know, I can't imagine that it's fear, but for whatever reason they won't come to me. That can be problematic in certain ways. But people see you as Pastor Stan. I know, it's Pastor Stan, so I don't want to say anything. I don't want to be disappointed that I asked that kind of a question, or I don't want them thinking, or people have all kinds of reasons why they don't come to you.
Well, they usually say to me, well, you could mention it to Stan, but when I see him, I'll mention it.
Well, that means they're not going to mention it.
But when I see him, I'll mention it. So it's not like they're sending me to mention it, because when they see you, I'll see.
They never mention it.
I'll mention it, and so they don't ever mention.
They never mention it. I can count on two hands all the people that have told me negative things at those kinds of things. I mean, there's people who will, off like that. I mean, there's obviously everyone in my orbit has no problem telling me about myself and where I can take it. I don't have any yes people in my orbit. No one in my orbit's a yes man or a yes woman.
So all these people I'm talking to is outside who are just
these
wondering.
Are people outside my orbit.
Just kind of wondering,
there's certain stations in life you can't arrive at if you don't have some tenacity and some focus and a capacity to move things forward.
So all these people who are mad at you for even thinking
of running
will never ever approach you.
They will not approach me. They're not going to approach me. They're not going to approach me with anything negative. I've been in their presence. They haven't said anything negative. I don't have as much as a reputation now with people that are new to me, but for those that are old, I handle business the old-fashioned way, publicly. I say what I have to say, don't mince words, and I'll say what I have to say publicly. And then when I come at you, I'm coming at you like an Aquarian. And we know how Aquarians are. When I do decide to come after you, I'm taking your kneecaps. You will not be left with the capacity to stand.
Don't you dare try to walk, because you'll never make it this far. Oh, yes.
And so, I'm a really easygoing guy. Really, really, really am. But, if folk, if I understand people have a right not to like you. They have a right to talk about you. I don't get upset at those kinds of things. I just, I do give people warning on rare occasion that your rhetoric is getting unseemly and you're going to force me to respond. And so I'm old school. All threats don't need to be dealt with. They need to be neutralized. And so ask anyone that's ever been neutralized by me. I'm very effective. Very effective.
Well, believe me, I'm going to send that message out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to speak the message. I'm going to speak the message.
I can be very, very effective. Very effective. Very effective. And it's all at once. There's, if I respect you, I'll give you a warning that you're getting close. But once it happens, it's very effective.
But that's what my sister says is unfair. It's unfair that people have never seen you that way, and then all of a sudden you have had enough and you pounce on them, and they can't understand. They're thinking you pounce on them for something that happened just now. They don't realize, this is from way back then to now. Mm-hmm. Now I've had enough. Now I'm going at you. But she says, and I think she's right, you should have warned them way back there that how you felt about what they were doing. But you let it pass, you let it pass, you let it pass, you let it pass until they step over the line, and then boom, there's like this explosion, and they're not understanding what in the world's wrong with, because they have never seen you like that. I do think that that's unfair. I'm trying my very best not to do that. Mm-hmm. To say to people, I don't like this, blah blah blah, and then usually they'll stop, and sometimes, usually, many times, I don't know, black people got to have the look, especially black mothers. I don't know if they have the look when people are just getting on your last nerve. Mm-hmm. You just look at them and then go the other way. I call it I don't know. I call it the mother look, but that's not true, because if your father looked at you in a certain way, you put on the brakes too. So I think, is that a black thing, or is that just a parent thing or mother thing?
The mother look, huh?
Yeah. The mother look. The mother look, the father.
I think all parents have that look that they give their kids. The kids know that they're on the edge when they get that look. Now.
Yep. I think probably all parents.
Yeah. I've learned how to be more sensitive to difference. I've learned to be more sensitive to difference. And, yeah. I'm not as easily triggered as I once was. So I'm more. I'm a very patient person by nature, but I've learned to be more patient. But there are some things I won't settle for or tolerate, and so people under my charge, harm to them is not acceptable to me.
I was just gonna say, that same thing is, and especially my children. My son has informed me of some of the things that happened to him as a teenager, mm-hmm. and I never knew about them because my sibling would say, "Please don't tell your mother. Let me take care of this." So they took care of it, and it never came to me. Well, I get a little upset when he tells me stuff like that. I said, "I'm your mother. Why didn't you come and tell me?" Because Uncle Philip said, "Don't go home and tell your mother this. Let Auntie Vernice and myself take care of this. We'll take care of it. Don't tell your mother." And he didn't tell me, and
yeah, I can relate to that, and I think that's a little bit about what you're experiencing. I think you're experiencing that because I'm a very blessed individual. I do have a circle around me of individuals who, now that you mention that, if you stop and if you step back and take inventory, I do have a circle of people around me who intercept things, and I know there's things they are not passing to me because they know exactly how I'll respond. So Kevin Brookman. Everybody knows Kevin Brookman.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Brookman had to physically restrain me once at City Hall on the elevator for almost going after somebody. Stand, because the person had made me so angry. So I will, I'm not one of those zodiac people, but there are certain traits, and Aquarians are, they're really easygoing people and then all at once,
it's a pound of your flesh.
It's like,
yes, and
just
that's really terrible.
And it's a bad trait. It's a bad trait. And so you're trying. It's like, you're like the Incredible Hulk. You're always there, but you suppress it way down by your feet, so that it's not present. And it really doesn't bother you until you can't hold that back no more.
Right. Fold your hands. Say a little prayer. Take a deep breath.
God's been good to me and forgiven me. No sense why I can't forgive you for that comment you made that was offhanded and snide and deserving of a backhanded slap, but that's not me.
I do remember one person. I gave someone, when I was working with the soup kitchen, gave someone a motel for the weekend. I think I told you this before. It was a holiday, and they had children. And a person came at me and said, why did I do that? How do I know this and how do I know that? And I said, well, I don't have to know. All I had to know is that they were homeless. They had a car. They were living in that car. I knew it. I saw it. And they had children. And they were hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't looking any further than that. They could deal with it on Monday morning when the holiday is over, and they had the weekend. All I needed to know was those children were safe. I didn't need to know any more than that.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a mistake, it was just a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going home out of this office to my house, close my door and be safe, and think there were some children on the street that could not eat and did not have a roof over their head for a holiday weekend when everything is closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that chance, and she came at me, and I went at her so fast. I went at her so fast, and there was total silence in the room. And I had to calm myself. I said, because we're supposed to be helping people.
Right.
Come on. I didn't have any time to research this, to find out this, that, and the other. So I had to just calm myself, and everybody was quiet for about a minute or two, and then we went on with the meeting, and we didn't bring it up anymore. And that means we didn't bring it up. She didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up. We never brought it up again. But I went after her because she was my boss, and she's telling me I should not have put these people up for the weekend. So I was very upset with that because it was against everything that we do. I thought. Now maybe I was wrong. I don't know. I thought it was against everything to leave these people out,
Well, you did the right thing.
Yeah. If it was a Monday and I could send them to an agency so they could help them, or I could send them I would have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have those choices,
Well, once you make the choice, I think can you make decisive decisions and stand by them until such time as it's been proven that it was the wrong choice. And I think if you can do that as a leader who cares about people, then you're fine. You don't have to be mean and cussing and carrying on and all that dramatic drama, and that's just unseemly, But you have to be able to make decisions and know why you're making the decision. I think leadership that's insecure is problematic.
Because the whole thing is going to be insecure, right. And the people are going to be insecure, and you're going to go in there
and that's when you start yelling at people and things like that. Look, I don't have the power. The chair has the power. My job is to exercise the full authority and power of the chair. There's no one in a position to challenge that authority that is in your orbit or that works for you. They're subordinate to the chair. It's not the person, it's the chair that has the power. And so you can surround yourself with people who can outthink you, that are faster than you, speak better than you, write better than you. You better surround yourself with the best you can find, and you should be at the bottom of the list, not at the top. And they're there to support the effort. The chair has the power. And so, now your job is to make the right choices. Mm-hmm. And move that ship along. But I'd love to have that conversation with anybody that wants to. Yeah, but we're out of time, unfortunately, Miss Cleo. Good program.
Maybe we can invite some people. I can invite some people.
Invite some people
who are. But you remember I told you I invited people to roast me that was talking so negative about me. I said, all right, we're going to have a party. I'm going to prepare some food, and you can say anything you want about me in front of everybody. And
that's
not anybody came. Not anybody.
No one came?
Not one of them who was doing all that talking, running around talking about me, running around talking about Willie. Not one. And I had food.
I'm going to do
that. I had
that.
a circle. And I waited for them to come to roast me. I said, you can roast me. You can say anything you want to say about me. And they left that afternoon saying, we'll be back. And I said, I'm waiting for you.
A public roasting.
A public, yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna talk to my campaign manager about having a public roast. She won't like the idea, I'm sure. But I'm gonna. Yeah. Let's.
But they should come. They
absolutely
should have come. Maybe I would have listened to them. Maybe I would have said, hey, all right,
I think that's a great idea. I'm gonna bring it up. I think it's a good idea.
And I wonder any of these people who talk to me will come.
Mm-hmm.
And to your roast.
Invite them. Tell them they can come here. All naysayers, critics can have an open mic and address me with the tough questions here in studio. I'd love to have them. And I won't be mean to them. I take criticism very well.
I wonder if they'd come.
Well, that's one way to shut them down. If they don't come.
Well, if they're working with another campaign,
no, ask their campaign manager to give them.
Furious with you. Furious. Would they come and?
Yeah, ask them to come.
Say anything they might.
If they can come in private. If they can come in private or in public. Well, we're out of time, Miss Cleo.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be quiet.
My friends, we'll see you next week. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.